Hi there, and welcome back to Black Hole Sun Podcast Afterthought, where we talk about any issues or questions or anything that we may have missed on the podcast. We talk about it here. I'm Moss, and before anything else, I just want to get this out of the way. Please like, subscribe, do whatever you need to do so you can get more of these episodes. And let's get to it. So this particular episode was about the famed monster Chupacabra. If you don't know what the Chupacabra is, it is a mythical creature. I guess it's a creature. Mostly known in places like Puerto Rico, Mexico, and also Texas, strangely enough. Old Mexico. It's this creature. Basically, it's vampiric in its nature. It likes to drain, particularly goats. I don't know why. Drain the blood of goats. That's where it got its name, Chupacabra, because it literally translates to the goat sucker. So it likes. Apparently, it's not that particular. It doesn't just go for goats. It actually goes for other animals. But in nature, it's like a vampire bat. It bleeds out an animal and just takes the blood. So this creature, which we don't know in nature what it is. Is it an alien? Is it a man-made thing? Is it like the Loch Ness Monster? It's just natural, I talked about that in the podcast. I talked about a lot of inconsistencies. First and foremost, when I went to look it up, and I watched a couple of docs, it said it started in 1995, but I feel like that's the first reported, written down, sort of evidence of this monster. I feel like, personally, I've heard of this monster way prior to 1995. And yes, I was around for 1995. I graduated high school. So, there you go. Do the math and figure out how old I am. So, I know that it's been a while. It's been around a while, that it didn't just show up in 1995. What's also interesting is if you go to Wikipedia and you look up the Chupacabra, it says it's this creature that originated from Puerto Rico in 1995 because of political issues. That's one of the kind of explanations for a Chupacabra was because there was the military was occupying Puerto Rico and the central area of Puerto Rico, and there was this particular military base, and there's been these rumors that this particular base there's been some experiments, and there's actually an X-File episode about it too. I don't know why I'm whispering, but there's an X-Files episode about this, about things going on in Puerto Rico. Actually wanted to see if it said anything about the town in Puerto Rico that it originated from. No, I may have said it in the podcast. No. Yeah, no. I definitely said it in the podcast. I think it was Luquillo or Ponce. I don't know. It's one of the military bases down there. I think there's only one. And people think that they were experimenting down there. That's one theory. That there were these weird hybrid, sort of funky experimenting things going down at that base. And one of the animals escaped, or creatures, we should say, and started terrorizing the people of the local villages, draining the animals of their blood, and doing all these things. Obviously, other people will say it's a monster. What's suspect is there was a lot of political things going on in 1995. I remember there was a lot of testing in the waters of Vieques. There was a lot of bombings in that area, Culebra, and all these other places. There's a lot of military testing down there. And a lot of people had a lot of animosity against the military because they were doing all sorts of things. And if you don't know, Puerto Rico is a commonwealth, but the people on the island can't vote. So there's that, so it could have come, someone said it could have came just a legend out of what was going on. What's also interesting about this Chupacabra is that it's also been sighted in Mexico. So if it's political or man-made in Puerto Rico, how did this little thing jump or swim, I guess, from Puerto Rico to Mexico? So that's another interesting question. Also, the way they look. The one in Puerto Rico looks more like an alien. It has these spikes in the back of its body. It's got big bulging eyes. While the one in Mexico is more like, it looks like a hybrid of like dogs. Like if people who've spotted it in Mexico say it looks like a dog. Also, it looks like the same one in Texas, which makes sense because Texas and Mexico are so close. So they have like more of a hybrid dog thing going on, while in Puerto Rico, it's considered more of an alien. I mean, I honestly don't know. It could be just a bunch of kids playing pranks and doing things, but then how do they drain animals of their blood? So after I did my podcast, I asked people, what do you think it is? Is it true? Is it not? I didn't really get too much of an answer. A lot of people do believe it. But in this sense, I don't believe it's a military experiment like a lot of people believe. I think it's an actual creature, like an actual mythical creature like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, that's been here for a while. And I don't know necessarily what to believe in terms of the physicalities of this animal. Like, is it, or creature, sorry, is it look like an alien with the spikes? Or does it look like a hybrid dog thing, wolf, kind of like hairless thing? I mean, they're both kind of hairless, but one is a little more passable as a creature. Like, it looks like a hybrid of animals, while the one in Puerto Rico has more of a alien kind of presence or appearance or aesthetic. So for me, I think, because I'm Puerto Rican, I kind of believe the more kind of menacing looking one that looks more alien like. Maybe it is an alien. Maybe it's an alien who got lost in the Atlantic Ocean, and he swam in Puerto Rico, and then he swam in Mexico, and then it lost its spikes in its back. Who knows? I mean, I find it interesting that we all kind of have different stories of it. Like, Mexican culture has their own stories, Puerto Rican culture has their own stories, and then you have people in Texas who may or may not have a different story. I know that I watched this series on the History Channel hosted by William Shatner, which, in itself had like a bunch of different monsters on it. I'm trying to think what other creatures that are well known was on it. The Mothman was on that, and there was some sort of goat thing, but a lot of just like creatures that you hear about, like just random fairy tales or whatever, horror stories. Definitely there's an X-File episode. There's actually 2 X-File episodes that kind of correlate to this. So there's one in Puerto Rico with their satellite dish thing. There's this base that has some sort of experimenting stuff, and then aliens visit that one. But then there's also the actual Chupacabra episode that they did. I believe that one was in Texas. They kind of, in a way, correlate, if you think about it, because since Chupacabra is in Mexico and in Puerto Rico, those episodes kind of correlate. And just the docs, like, cryptologists are always trying to figure it out, They actually dug up the bones of one in Texas on one of these shows, and that one was more of a dog, like a hybrid dog, like inbreeding, like crossbreeding, I should say, of 2 animals, like a dog and a wolf, or coyote, actually, like a wolf and a coyote kind of thing going on in Texas. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of suspect the one in Puerto Rico. I think that was more to, maybe the locals made that up to scare the military. Who knows? God knows. But it was really interesting because you really can't get a straight answer from anybody about it. Just chug it off to something else we don't know about, like Area 51, or Loch Ness or Bigfoot. Just those things, I definitely love talking about monsters and mystical creatures. I think that I will do more episodes on that. I just don't know which one I want to talk about next, like Nessie or Bigfoot or, those kind of monsters. They're fun. I mean, they're also scary. I mean, think about it. You're a farmer and your chickens got let out. Like this one lady on the episode, matter of fact. The unexplained, they put an X. The unexplained, an X in the title. And she talked about having a chupacabra come and bleed out her goats. And she was in Texas. She's in the southern part of Texas. And I believe she was in El Paso. And she had her goats completely bled out. And she couldn't explain it. And then she was the one who found one. She found like this animal on the road that someone ran over. So, is it true? Is it not? I think it is true. I don't think people would make up that stuff. I think, there's a lot of panicking, especially nowadays, with things that we don't know and government cover-ups that it's like, what can you believe? But this story has been around for a really long time. So this is probably very true in comparison to other things. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave your comments below what you think it is. Do you think it's a hybrid of different animals? Do you think it's an alien being that came from outer space? That could be that's possible too. Do you think it was a government conspiracy experiment that went wrong and this creature, ran off and started terrorizing people? Leave your comments below. Also, please like if you liked, subscribe, pass it around. If you don't like it, don't watch it. I should have said that at the beginning. But yeah, let me know what you think. I would love if you want me to do part 2 of that podcast and really go into the different types. I would love to do that. Or if you want me to do part 2 of the afterthought, I can do that too. So let me know what you think. And until next time, thanks so much.